Hi, I'm Arryn Zech from RWBY.
Jen Brown here from RWBY.
And you're watching Supanova TV.
And I want to say hello, Supanova.
We are here with Jen Brown. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, I am so happy to be here.
Now, Jen, you are best known for a lot of your work with Rooster Teeth. Tell me a bit about how you got involved with Rooster Teeth.
I auditioned like you normally do for things. However, it was a little different because years before I auditioned, I used to work with Anna Hullum, who's Matt Hullum's wife, and she would constantly talk about her husband's company and be like, oh, my husband has this company, they do these videos, they do the show, da, da. Oh, you're an actor, like you should really audition for them. I think you would really vibe, like I'll let you know if, they're ever looking for females.
Yeah.
And while I worked with her, nothing, she was like, oh, nothing's really available right now. And I was like, I'll keep it in my mind. And then like 2 years later, we had kind of lost touch a little bit, and I was just going through audition notices and I saw Rooster Teeth and I was like, oh, that's Anna's husband's company. Oh, I'll send out for that. So I submitted all my stuff, my resume, my headshot, all that, and added like a little note at the end being like, P.S. it's so funny seeing this, I'm friends with Anna. Da, da, da. So I went in, I go to the audition, and they're not really paying attention to me. And then I start talking, and I see all their heads go. And like Bernie's like scrambling for my headshot, and he goes, wait a minute, you're an actor? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. And they read the little note and thought that I was just Anna's friend, and that I was not actually a professional. So they were surprised when I was talented.
You could actually do the job.
Do the job. Of course, she hates it because she's like, well, I'm not going to send you somebody that
just because we're friends.
Just because they're my friend. Like, I suggested her because she's a professional.
Yeah.
So they always bicker about that, which I think is really funny.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, as well as your work on RWBY and Red vs. Blue and other things to do with the Rooster Teeth brand and umbrella, you are also a bit of a fan of the horror genre.
Oh, I would say more than a bit.
More than a little bit.
It's kind of my life.
Which is a strange thing for people to hear you say.
It is.
Yes, so tell me a bit about Women in Caskets.
Yes, Women in Caskets is my podcast along with Don Humphrey. We used to run a theater company together years ago, and while we were doing theater, we both realized that we had this massive love of horror films.
Okay.
So we would constantly go to horror movies together, go to horror conventions, and it was just our bonding thing outside of theater, or in addition to theater. And a few years went by and we're like, wow, we just sit around talking about horror movies all the time. Why don't we start a podcast specifically talking about horror films from a feminist perspective? Because there's a surprising amount of women that are really into horror. Actually, the majority of the horror fan base is female.
Which is really interesting, and it's something that, I'm a huge fan of true crime, personally. I find horror movies impossible to watch because I'm just the scariest scaredy cat ever.
That's so funny to me because true crime is real.
I know.
And horror movies aren't.
Yeah.
So it's a little safer with horror films for me.
Absolutely.
Because you're still in that fantasy realm.
Yes.
With true crime, which I enjoy too. But with true crime, like I have to be careful because I get too freaked out.
Okay. That makes
it's all real.
sense. It makes perfect sense. But it's really strange that we have so few female voices talking about the horror genre.
Yeah.
So what is it that drew you to create this podcast with a feminist tilt to it?
Just, well, what you said. At the time, we didn't see a lot out there like us. So we were like, let's throw our hat into the ring. We were kind of looking around and there weren't too many. There were girls in the back row, which are great. They existed and we're friends with them. They're lovely, lovely women. And a few others, but we didn't see a ton. So we were like, let's contribute.
Amazing. Well, we can't wait to see more of you here at Supanova. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We are here with Arryn Zech. Now, Arryn, RWBY is a phenomenon. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand it. All I see is giant weapons and people screaming and hitting each other with giant weapons. Please explain to me, what is it about RWBY that people love so much?
Well, the thing is, I don't understand it either.
Oh, good. We are in good company.
Yeah, what has drawn people to it is that there's so many different relatable characters. So while the story in itself and the actions and the monsters and everything are very fantastical, at the very base level, all the characters have, I guess, personalities and traits that are relatable for everybody. So if you don't relate to one, there's going to be one that you're just like, this is me. So the fact that you're able to like put yourself in this story in kind of a way, I think makes it more welcoming.
And it gives everybody a character that they can kind of latch onto and say.
And if you have one, then you're in.
Yeah, and then you've got a character, a design ethic, a giant weapon, all these things. So when you saw your character design, the character design for the character you voiced, what did you think? What was your initial reaction?
I was so excited because she had long black hair. But at the,
It's me.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I actually had really short, dark hair,
Right,
and I
it's
was
not
like,
me.
it was like, this is what I want. This is what I want to be. So
Right.
I just got to like play dress up, I guess, with this character.
Through your character.
Yeah, and she inspired me to just like keep growing my hair. She was just the constant like, don't cut it, don't do it. This is a very like sophisticated answer.
No, I
I'm giving
like
right
it
now.
though. I like it.
We actually, Monty gave us the opportunity to actually kind of work with him to figure out the character stuff. So Blake could have had very like shoulder length, wavy hair, but instead we went through this whole file of like photos of anime girls, and yeah, you've got a wonderful, we've got a fly going on. That was
Sorry,
like right on the
I
nose.
probably should have had a shower this morning.
Oh God, me too. You know.
Anyway.
But yes, so we got to kind of put our own little details and stuff, or choose all the girls got to do for their girls. So,
Yeah. And so did you, like, in terms of that's design, do you get much say in terms of character in how you want them to go, or where
No, not at all. In that sense, we're fully just like puppets at the will of the writers. There are obviously things that we want to happen, and there are things that we would just like disagree with. But that's something we can take up with the writer, and whether or not they do something about it is.
Yeah. And is that the thing? Do you go to the writers occasionally and say, hey, can we go in this direction, or is it very much you just get a script and you're like, cool?
Yeah, there are two things. There's one that I wanted to make sure happens in the show, or else I would be very upset. And there was, like, maybe in Chibi, there was a time where I was like, this isn't normal. Like, this doesn't feel like a normal Blake thing to happen.
Like, just out of character.
Yeah,
Totally.
and they're like, well, we've got a new writer.
Oh.
And I felt so proud of myself to be like, this is weird. And it's like, you're right.
Yeah.
Yay!
Good, I know my character. So I've also seen some of the ways that you actually do the performance capture. Like, I know at one of the shows down here, you were showing the face capture stuff.
Yeah.
How often do you get to do that? Or is it more often actual traditional in the booth, normal?
Yeah. Are you talking about the like when they would talk and then the characters would talk with them?
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever did that, and I never actually ended up doing it.
Oh.
Ruby Ruby and Yang, I think, did it.
I don't remember.
It doesn't
But, yeah.
matter. But yeah, they like dotted my face and everything, and I had to like look at this. I had to do it, but it never worked out.
Oh, damn it. Because I looked at it, I thought that's a really cool thing as an actor to be said, okay, you get to be your
Motion
character,
capture,
like really your
Yeah.
character. But yeah, so you're doing it traditionally in a booth, and then...
And then they'll do it all. Usually, actually, the motion capture is done by guys.
Oh, right.
Like for the first few seasons, I don't know if it's changed because Rooster Teeth now has like so many female animators, which is very exciting.
That's awesome.
But for a while, the guys would just put on high heels and just like motion capture, which is why the first season, when you watch Blake walking away, it's the sassiest walk I've ever seen in my life. I like making fun of it, but yeah.
That's awesome. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I love
That's
having
okay.
you.
I always love being here too.
Well,
it feels
Okay, well then we'll just do it again another time, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And maybe Brisbane or Adelaide.
Okay.